jazz music playing,
You do? Okay.
but I
Okay.
don't think it's loud enough. I'm gonna turn it up a little bit. Normally, I do my violins. I'm gonna save the violins for.
We want to jazz it up.
Yeah. Can you hear that a little bit? It's in, so today the ambiance is the ambiance of a New York jazz cafe.
Ooh, I love that.
If the jazz coffee house like cafe is really cute. I'm gonna drop the link to it in the chat for anybody that needs to use it for like a co-working session. Um,
Yeah.
with no further ado, I do want to introduce you. Give me a second.
Now you got me sipping on my tea, wishing it was wine.
I know. So I have a whole. Give me a second. There we go. Okay, so today's episode is Giving Roses the guest spotlight, and today's guest is going to be Leah Garcia. In this episode, I'm honored to sit with a woman whose presence is both powerful and poetic. Leah is a force serving entrepreneurs and enterprises with a mission to build wealth today, dynasty tomorrow. She's a financial strategist, insurance professional, and the proud author of Wall of Wealth, which is a free ebook you can get from connecting with her on LinkedIn. But beyond the title, she is an amazing grandmother. And the thing that I found out today that I love the absolute most is she's a karate black belt. And she's a living example of legacy in motion. And so
Wow.
I want to thank you.
Legacy emotion. I love that. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction, Coach K, my queen.
I was so excited to get it out. I actually have something that I want to do for you after the show. This series is actually going to be about me interviewing and giving roses to women that have played influential roles in my life that probably didn't know that they played a role as big as they
Oh my
did because most of you
gosh.
guys were really far away. And I didn't think
So
that I could develop
beautiful.
connections like this with someone that I'd never met before, but I realized that the some of the most influential people in my life come from faraway lands. And it's just it speaks to the beauty of connecting with others that are different from you, because at the end of the day, when you do things that you're passionate about and you love, I truly believe that things would just begin to fall in alignment. And the people that you're supposed to be connected with, not only will you connect with them, you'll stay connected, and the
Yeah.
journey would actually be beautiful. It won't be so much of a bumpy ride. And it doesn't mean that every day and every conversation is amazing. It just means we talk on and off screen, and every time I feel better. I noticed that. And so today is really about me learning more about you, the woman behind the finance, because you've been so influential to me over the last 2 years. I've had situations recently where I'm realizing I'm in the wrong environment, and it's not the place, but it's just the language in a sense of the one thing that I was running from that I realized I also needed to face um, was this unseen cultural barrier that I didn't know was there, that's always been there. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to language. Most people call it mindset. But I think if people put more emphasis on the words of communication and listening, then mindset happens faster. And so, in this episode, I have a series of questions, getting to know you questions, where we won't dig too deep. I want to find out a little bit. I want to ask you more questions with intentionality in four different categories. We're going to discuss identity and becoming, influence and legacy, midlife and transition, as well as empowerment and community. So that
Wow.
you have an idea of where this interview is going.
I don't know if I'm the right person for all of these questions, but I'm going to give it my best. I always,
You're the
I'll give it
perfect
all
person
my
for all
golden
these.
nuggets.
You're the perfect person for all these. And the reason I know that is because you're in a stage of life that I'm heading towards. And so it might not be the perfect person for everybody, but you're the perfect person for me right now because I'm in a stage of my life where it's just me. My kids are older and kind of out, and I didn't realize the things that I didn't get to do because I was a mom so early. And so I'm entering this new space of rediscovering and trying things I never tried before, doing things I didn't think I could do. And when I read all your titles and got down to karate black belt, I was like, I knew she kicked ass for a reason. Like I knew I liked her for more than that. It's like, and you make it look easy, you make it look glamorous. And so
Hmm.
it's like you're a goal, like body goals, financial goals, living goals. Like you're a walking example of people that I believe today's children should know. I think that everyday people don't understand the role of hero that they play and that they could play for so many people around them unknowingly, and myself included. And so it's like I want to not be a part of the group that doesn't shed light on people that are bright. I want to like turn the light up on the people that I think may not get overlooked because you're so present that I can't imagine anybody overlooking you. You show up consistently, and I love that's one of the things that I love about you. Um, but I just think more people need to know who you are and about your business. And I think the person behind what you do is the biggest reason that I would suggest for people to reach out and work for you, because anybody can be your insurance professional. Anybody can go and get licensed. Like I have my license, but I don't actually want to do what you do. So you're the best person for it, you know? And so without further ado, I want to go ahead and get the first question going, which is what experience have shaped you to become the woman you are today? Is there a particular experience or what event comes to mind when you hear that question?
Well, I always say, it all goes back to our childhood. And for me, it was growing up in true poverty, surrounded by gangs, drugs, and just people who didn't work. I mean, my parents didn't work, and we were raised on food stamps and welfare. And for me, we would often go and visit other aunties and uncles and my grandparents, and they would have nice houses and they'd have green grass and shiny cars. And I always wondered, how do they have this and we don't? And I would ask my mom, like, how do we get this? How can we live there? Can we live there? And that's when I saw the Windex commercial. And they said, if you spray Windex on your windows, your whole world will sparkle. And I know this sounds so Pollyanna, but it's absolutely true. I was 6 years old. I saw this commercial and I begged my mom for Windex. Now, remember, we were very po. We didn't even have the O, the R, right? We just didn't have anything. And I begged her for Windex. She tried to give me the generic, but I was like, no, I want the Windex. So she bought me this bottle of Windex, and I was so proud of this. I would take it and I would shine up the windows in our little broken down house. And for me, that was my way of shining up my world. And it's absolutely true. And that for me was really something that I think about often, because for me, it's like we have to begin with where we come from because it's part of who we are. I
Yeah.
wouldn't change that for anything. At the time, it was embarrassing. I never wanted anyone to know where we lived. I didn't even want to acknowledge that the people that, were my parents were my parents. And so it's easy, but now I'm flipping the script on that. I don't think about it and in anguish and peril and in embarrassment. I think about it as something I want to share with people because I want them to know no matter where you come from, it doesn't matter how much money you have or don't have or where you started. We can all have that dynasty. So I share the story to inspire other people in hopes of inspiring people wherever they came from. So that for me has definitely been something that I reflect on when I help families. I reflect on it with my precious grandson. It's something that, like I said, at the time growing up, it was a difficult way to grow up, but I know it's really helped me to step into who I am today.
I love that. And I love your outlook on it more than anything. Um, I came to a recent discovery, like within the last 30 days, as I am taking more intentional looks into my contacts. I've been talking, the few times that I've been on here, I've been talking about purging my contacts and purging my social media and just different things. And when I say purging, I'm thinking of it from like a pruning perspective. When you have a garden and you have to remove different things that are dead so that the new things could actually grow.
Yeah.
And I don't know the right words to articulate this, but the thing is, I didn't grow up poor, and I grew up ashamed of it to a degree. And what I mean by that is, I moved from Illinois to St. Louis, which my mom, St. Louis is pretty segregated in my opinion, in terms of like blacks living in certain areas and whites living in a different place, or people that are more affluent. And so we moved to the inner city because coming from a two-parent African American household where both parents work, my parents could get a really good house in that neighborhood around people that look like us. But I didn't necessarily struggle the way certain people around me did. And then I was bussed out in a desegregation program, so I did see what the other side of life was like. But I didn't have to worry about certain things there, but I didn't necessarily take it for granted. I didn't speak about certain things because I knew and I could see what my friends or people around me were going through. And so for me, it made more sense to just keep quiet, especially once I became a mom, because I already had this, attention on me. But even when I think back to that, I got a job. Like, I would go to school, I would do the books for the daycare, and then I actually would work at night, like cleaning office buildings. And so I just kind of went into this life as life, almost like an adult, but I wasn't an adult. I was a kid. And so I just kind of tried to play it off. And I'm realizing that a lot of friendships that didn't last to this part of my life, I believe it was because maybe they started off untrue on both sides.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
My own accountability for playing myself down. You get what I'm saying? Because
Hmm.
I could have been, I mean, it could have, should have, would have, but it could have been a different outcome had I been bold enough to stand in just simply who I was. I found myself pouring into others and assuming that they would pour back into me, not knowing, not truly understanding what they may have been going to, until I later in life, like within the last couple years, got to work with inner city kids and went through my own financial struggles with after my accident, that I really truly understood what certain things meant. Like, I kind of I empathize with it before, but
Mhm.
I think that certain levels in life are almost necessary for success. And
Yes.
with that, it brings me to my next question, which is, how has your definition of success evolved over time?
Having kids definitely expands your definition of success. I remember when I had my oldest son, my first child, my definition of success was get this kid to age 18. Like, I don't know why. I never thought I would live to this age. I kid you not. I'm 60. I'm very proud of my age because I know a lot of people that passed away young. So I would pray, Lord, please let me, get him to age 18 so that I know that he's a good person, a good man, and can take care of himself. So that was really initially my first probably real thing that I was like, I really want to achieve this. And then, once your kids get grown and you're like, okay, I did it. All right. They're alive still. I didn't kill them, which thank God. Those teenagers could be rough. And now I love what you talked about in the beginning is because that is so true for me is it's my path of rediscovery. You know, I'm 60 years old. My mom passed away young. She was only 62. And I think, wow, her health at my age was really, really poor. And so, you know, my goal, that's why I'm so regimented about good health. Not that I'm perfect with it, but that's why I do a lot of things to take care of my health because I've seen what happens when you have poor health, when you don't take care of yourself. So, you know, that's definitely been a goal. And, you know, now with my precious grandson, I've always talked about leaving a legacy. I've always talked about creating a dynasty, but it is true and real now more than ever. When I look at his little precious face and we have these amazing conversations, he's 7, well, he's 6 right now. He's going to be 7 in a few weeks. But for me, it's like, wow, this truly is my dynasty. And I've got to make sure that I do everything I can to set them up, not just financially, but I talk about the 7 F's, right? Faith, family, finance, fitness, fun, philanthropic, because I believe that givers gain, and food, because it takes money to have good, nutritious food.
Yeah.
And I believe that that's true wealth. So, yes, it absolutely has evolved. But I always go back to my little 6-year-old self that
Yeah.
I've always wanted wealth. I make no qualms about it. I intend to be stinking freaking, you know, wealthy because I'm going to be able to help more people. See, oftentimes people keep themselves smaller and they just say, I just want to be comfortable, Leah. I don't need a lot of money. I don't care about money. But maybe there's somebody connected to you who does need that money. Maybe they need help in a financial situation. Maybe they need money to be able to save their life, to get to a particular doctor or hospital. So it's not just, I think if we're just thinking about being comfortable, we're thinking about ourselves, we're
Hmm.
being very selfish. True wealth is being wealthy in all areas and that we can be stinking freaking generous. I always say, I give out of abundance, therefore I receive out of abundance. The words that you shared with me, Coach K, I call her my queen, like those were very meaningful to me. What you shared with me was very deeply moving to me. I appreciate that and I receive your kind words. But I can receive them because I'm ready to give them. I hope that answered your question.
It did. It did. I love that. And I think that that makes a world of difference because moving to that level of success and mindset of abundance where it's not for me, it changed because it's like you can only go so far alone.
Right.
And when you're in true abundance, you want others to succeed. You want to see other people there when you get across the finish line. You actually don't want to be just standing on the other side of the world by yourself. Like, man, it would be nice if somebody else was here.
Right. That you've done it together. And that's why I love building a team because
Yeah.
I've done this alone for a long, long time. And although your friends and family and colleagues they will clap for you. I don't mean that they didn't clap for me. They definitely have clapped for me. But when it's the team that you've gone through it together and then you create this incredible things and you watch their evolution, gosh, it's so addicting. It is so addicting. And you know when they're clapping for you, it's genuine because they've watched your evolution too. Listen, I'm not perfect. I'm still in the process. Thank God, right? Every day above ground is a good day. We got a good chance to make ourselves better, to improve ourselves.
No, I definitely agree. I definitely agree, and I'm loving everything. I think that energy within like the energy of this is even
Mm.
something to be not something to not take for granted because I don't think the way people realize that how words transform energy and
Oof.
just simply seeing someone can change everything. And it was such a confirmation that when I went onto LinkedIn today, Paulette actually shared a story from someone else that spoke about this guy that met his wife when he was absolutely down at his worst and just
Mm.
what it meant to have just that one person. to see them from their perspective, because if one person believes in you when absolutely nobody else does. Actually, I had
Mm,
a conversation with my son today earlier. He has an event today at 1 o'clock. And I said, if one person show up or 100 people show up, one person show up, you give them 100% energy. And it's the best one-on-one event that you'll ever have. Because if that person talks about the energy that they got and what it meant to them, there'd be so many people showing up to your next event talking about the energy or the benefit that they got from just spending that time with you. And so I don't want people to take the presence of good people, positive people, for granted, because if there's nothing else, find someone in your life that sees you for how you want to be seen,
mhm,
and believe them when they tell you good things. I think that that's a big thing, because sometimes people lie to themselves so much, or they've believed the naysayers that they've heard for so long, that when
mhm.
someone actually does come around and tell them the truth, they don't actually receive it. And so I love the fact that you acknowledge that I receive that I'm in a place in life where I can receive that, because I pour into people all the time, and sometimes they get angry at me because I see more in them than they see in themselves. And I didn't realize that's what was happening. And I was like, maybe accidentally hitting people's triggers, because not everybody wants to do the work for the level of success you see.
Oh, stop it right there. Fire, fire, fire. You know, so many people are good givers. They love to give. They'll sacrifice, which I don't believe in sacrifice. We can talk about that. But what they don't understand, that they don't like to receive, and they push it away, and they say, and I've been there too. I have absolutely been there.
Saying,
But what I realize though is, if we want to be a good giver and have our receiver receive what our gifts, whether it's our words or our golden nuggets or whatever we're giving them to them with our best intention. And if you give someone a gift and they kind of go, I already got that. I don't need that. And they push it away, how would you feel? You would feel very hurt, wouldn't you? So we have to complete the circle and being good givers. But in order to do that, we have to be true receivers, whether it is a folded up piece of paper that somebody scribbled something. My precious grandson gave me this little note. So cute. Or somebody who spent, lots of money on you. I mean, it's all the same. We just got to be really good receivers and receive it. And yeah, I love that you said that.
yeah, I still have my 21-year-old. He used to, I had to tell him not to buy me any more wine glasses, but for Christmas or like my birthday, he would go get me like a wine glass with the K on it, and he would make me breakfast in bed and write me notes. And I would always keep the note.
That's
And I
beautiful.
remember when he was maybe 8 or 9, he goes, Mom, if a guy doesn't do this for you, he doesn't deserve you, because you deserve the best. And it's
Oh,
like, I literally he called me back this morning from college, and he's like, oh, I missed your phone call. And I was like, dude, I miss you. Like, I don't understand. And it's no slight to anyone that may have, something going on in a relationship with themselves or their kids. But I don't understand how people don't miss their kids when they're the best parts of them. And so it's like, I miss you guys. Like, not having my kids suck. I did not realize I was this much of a mom. Like, I'm going to get better at being single and solo, because I'm like, really didn't realize how much of my head was not wrapped around what that meant. And I think at one point I was just looking for somebody else to take care of. And so you really hit a point for me when you said being comfortable with receiving. That was a confirmation for me, because I there was a homeless guy, I think I told you about, that was living outside of where I live.
mhm.
And I
Right.
had a conversation with him, and I said, I see you. I know who you are. I said, you don't belong out here. You're not even supposed to be here, but you got your heart broke. And
Mm.
the attention you get from people that see you here, you like it because you miss her. I said, and all you have to do is pick yourself up by the bootstrap and like get on that bus, get in an apartment and go to where she is. He received like Social Security benefits and was just kind of like chilling on the ground outside saving money. And so for 4 months before I got here, I talked to business owners around, and people, I watched people stop and give him money and try to like help him get off the street. And he didn't want to go. And so I told him, I said, I don't mind talking to you, but I'm not going to trauma bond with you. So we'll have our next conversation will be on the day you're about to get on the bus. And about a week ago, he says, Miss K, I'm getting out of here today. I said, you better not go up north and sleep on that ground. I said, because it's going to be cold. And he said, I'm going to get, I said, go get your girl back. Get your stuff together and go get your girl back. Technically, I saw him because I really believe that's what happened to my dad when my parents got divorced. And it took for me to talk to my father this year because I've always been able to reach out to him, but his mind hadn't really been right since the divorce, in my opinion. And so I never really took it personal because I had a stepdad, you know. But when I talked to my father and I started asking like my parents all these questions that I never asked them, because the thing about me not growing up poor, that means I didn't really get to see my mom and my stepdad or my dad as much because everybody's like at work. And so I'm just like out in the streets doing whatever I want to, whenever I want to, but not doing anything for money or food, but just away because it was like I felt safer just being in the streets than I did at home because my siblings are very interesting people. And so I'm just like, I'm going to go outside and mind my business, go hang at the library, go meet new friends, and I would just go off on adventures. But it gave me the ability to see people in ways that other people didn't, because while I'm out in the streets, I'm actually talking to people and getting to know them. And there was a time where like I spent a good portion of my childhood hanging around gangbangers. And so I sometimes when people say you gangster, I think I kind of get offended by it because I'm thinking of what I think gangster is, when really gangster just means control. These were not people that were like robbing, killing, and stealing people. They had their own system to protect and take care of their community, so to speak. But it allowed me to see them for who they were versus what the outside world said they were. Same thing when I started meeting friends that were Islamic. It gave me an opportunity to just see people from a different perspective, because these people that the world or different people within my community may say are bad, they were the nicest people to me. And so it makes you reshape your entire outlook on life when we go out into the world and pour into people and see people that are different, because it not just allows them to be impacted in a positive way of you, it also widens your own perspective. And that's where real wealth is when you widen your perspective by pouring into someone else, and it's not even a monetary thing.
Yeah, for sure.
My next question for you is, who poured into you when you needed it the most?
Wow. I am so blessed that I've had so many people pour into me. I would say the first person was my second grade teacher, Mrs. Hammond. So if we missed the bus, we didn't go to school. And we happened to miss the bus pretty often. So I would have a very high absentee rate. But she was the first person that took the time to kind of see, why was she missing school? Because when I was there, I would do well. And I didn't even know if I was doing well because I felt like I would get into the middle of the lesson, right? I didn't see the beginning, or maybe I didn't see the middle, but I'd see the end. And I would still do well in second grade. And so she was the first person that really took an interest in me. And we had the same birthday. And she bought me a snow globe from Disneyland. She went to Disneyland on her birthday and she brought it back. And I was just so in awe. I always wanted to go to Disneyland, and I'd heard about Disneyland. And so her bringing that back for me was just a treasure. And then my sixth grade teacher, Mr. Margosian, he was incredible. He let us create our own spelling list. We would go through the dictionary and we'd create our own spelling words. He would read books to us. This is when I really discovered the power of reading. Although I was a good reader, he really helped us to unpack, like, reading chapter books, and he'd read to us Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and James and the Giant Peach and all these great books. And then really growing up, as an adult, I've had so many people pour into me. So when I first started in this industry, I had a 2002 Honda Accord. Everybody made fun of me because she was a Honda, and everybody called her Helga because she had 242,000 miles on her. Someone had backed into me, so I had this huge dent. I mean, imagine a financial professional. Like, what kind of a professional do you? I didn't have any business clothes because I had been a housewife, so I lived in t-shirts and shorts. I went to the Goodwill and I bought a blazer, called it my lucky jacket. So I was terrible in the beginning, but I had a friend who really saw me, and she would just challenge me here and there. And she kind of see me having a little bit of success, and she'd pull me aside. She calls me Garcia. Garcia, come here.
Mm-hmm.
How you doing that? Show me how you did that. No, don't do it like that. Don't do it like that. She she wouldn't spend a lot of time with me, but that time was very powerful. Somebody that believes in you, like you alluded to earlier, when you believe in somebody, pouring belief into somebody, you can't even quantify what that does for you. You really can't. And I've had my first karate master, Hanshi Cruz. He passed away years ago now. But, he would just see me. And martial arts is very spiritual. You really connect with the people that you're training with, even if you never speak a word. And so anytime that I was having anything that was going on, he would recognize that. He'd pull me aside. He'd talk to me, he'd mentor me. So I've been blessed that I've had many, many people, and there's many other people. If I don't mention you, please forgive me. But I've had so many people who've been so generous with their time and their words. And I think that I was somebody that always had a lot to say, but never really said a lot.
Yeah.
Hasn't been until recently that I've really been able to find my voice. And I think that's why I enjoy the social media so much, because I've been holding back a long time. Now I got to play catch up here.
That's how I feel. I think that's one of the reasons I enjoy talking to you, because and that was the thing that I was saying before, there's a few differences, but there's so many similarities. There's so much that we have in common that it just when you focus on that, it makes relationship building so easy because you're focused on the right things. But I feel the same way. I've been walking around with all this knowledge, and I've been throwing it up on my kids, and my kids are like, okay, Mom, we got enough. We got it now. And so it's now I'm getting my voice back and trying to give it out, to the world, just bringing myself back in that sense. So if you have,
I would like to, before we go forward, I want to circle back to that question also. I would say you as well, Coach K.
Mm-hmm.
We're in these LinkedIn streets, and we were doing these LinkedIn audios, and I was trying to figure this LinkedIn thing out. I've been on LinkedIn for many years, but the audios were something that was just incredible. If you don't know what a LinkedIn audio room is, I feel sorry for you because they're amazing. But you had your rooms on Sunday, and you had an incredible question. I don't remember what it was, but it was something about, would you like to share? And I went up there. I'm like, I'm going to share on Coach K, her stage. And so I said what I had to say. And I got really emotional because it was something about, my grandchildren, my grandson, my precious grandson. And it just got me really choked up. And I shared what I wanted to share. And then I put myself on mute and I stopped. And nobody said anything. And I thought, oh my gosh, did they hear me? Or I wasn't sure. And then you said, are you done? And I was like, oh my gosh, they're not trying to shut me up. They weren't trying to click the button. They weren't saying, okay, next. You really took the time to listen and hear what I was sharing. And I would love to think that it was just what you did for me, because I'm special like that. but it was, that's how you roll. That's how you are with everyone. And that's why those rooms are so powerful. Your rooms are so powerful because you really took the time to listen to people.
Thank you. You know, I actually really needed to hear that today because I got told the opposite last night and this morning by two different people that I know don't actually know me. And so I
Mhm.
had to regulate my emotions to not take it personal. But I needed to hear that because, and that's what I mean about sometimes being in the wrong environment where people just don't know what to say and they'll take their limited perception of what you can and can't do if they have not saw you do it and think that you can't do it because it's not something that they can see themselves doing. And it happens so often that sometimes we hold on to those words, and so the words that we speak to each other are essential. They're like essential wording that need to be said, that hey, I need to be heard, I need to be seen, I'm trying to be seen, and I need you to see me. And to give somebody that to give someone that is it can be life-saving in the right moment, because some people
Absolutely.
are already like hanging on by a strand. The other thing that I kind of wanted to go back to, because we when we were talking about wealth in the first sector, and we were talking about accumulating wealth and things of that nature, I want to touch base on the fact that inflation is changing at a rapid rate. You don't have to like money. You don't have to want a lot of money. But if the truth and the reality of is if you don't figure out a way to make more soon, you may be obsolete. And it's almost like the movie Robots in real time at how fast inflation is moving. And to give an example, I went to the post office to send something off by snail mail yesterday, and I was going to do priority mail. Less than a year ago, it was maybe $2, $3. And because of the holidays being around the corner, and a year later, it was like $12
Wow.
to go the same distance. And
Wow.
we're talking less than 1 year.
Wow.
And so there everything may not be jumping up at that rate right now, but understand that when numbers start to move at rates that fast, you might want to start reconsider changing your outlook on money, because the only reason people say they don't want a lot of money is because they've heard stuff like money is evil and it's the root to all evil and things like that, when the truth is money is just paper. People are the real currency. We had the talk before where I believe in reverse engineering, where in my class is about me seeing what's inside of you that actually creates currency and pull out what flows money, because we are made to create. The system is made for us to consume, and once you understand that, you understand you can change that depletion, because nobody wants to struggle, nobody wants to starve, nobody wants to not take vacations. But when life tells you that that means this, and that's too far, and it's not unsafe to fly, and this and that, you put yourself in a jar and put that level of contentment on yourself and on your bloodline. And it's like, if you ever experience poverty, why would you want anybody coming behind you that's associated with your being here to experience that? It just don't make sense. Not in my opinion. Some people really don't care. Those are not the people I want to work with. But but if you care, if you remotely care, think about, what if my grandparents had left me XYZ. And then also, I look forward to taking the time to educate people on what infinite banking looks like, because you don't have to be die to you don't I'm sorry, you don't have to die to use your insurance policy. I worked in wealth management for like 2 or 3 years in Dallas, and it was like the biggest WTF moment for me when I realized that there were grandparents out here making their kids millionaires for being born with the 10 by 10. And we'll get into what that is at a different episode. But you could do a 10 for 10 and turn that kid into a millionaire before they're 11. And that kid is set up for the rest of their life. There are ways to use these things. And so I think changing the conversation on some things and putting focus on what people really want, and then people being open to understanding that sometimes these, like insurance and other things, are a way to protect and create more of it. I think that so many people are miseducated when it comes to what wealth is, that is insane, because most people automatically assume that if you don't have money, if you don't have this, then you're not wealthy, when there are so many people with large bank accounts and poor shit.
Yeah. I did the math. So that's like a 400% increase from $3 to $12. Think about that. What if everything had a 400% increase? And you're right, we're so focused on keeping up with the Kardashians. We got to start keeping up with our own finances. We got to start keeping up with our own retirement. We got to stop. We are in a delusion. We've got to stop being ostriches, putting our head in the ground. We have to take our head out of the ground and we have to turn towards our money.
I'm calling my the course series is going to be teaching people how to mind their business, like minding your business, but changing from
Ooh,
mind to mining. And my target demographic, after a lovely conversation with Paulette yesterday, is the boomers. I'm going to do it for the introverts and the boomers first.
nice.
Um, will be my target demographic, because those are the people I relate to the most. And so, to decrease the amount of pushback of, I don't like this, I don't want to do this, that person can't, no. I want to find people that want to learn, that are open to learning new things, and show them how to mind their business, whatever is important to them. If it's their retirement, if it's their creativity, if it's their health, if it's, I'm diabetic but don't know what to eat. There are answers out there. And if we have to do co-working sessions like once or twice, maybe, I'm not going to say twice a week. I'm not going to sit on this live or this thing, commit to twice a week. Let's say twice a month.
There you go.
But twice a month, I'll do open co-working sessions for the community. And anybody that wants to join can join and drop into the chat what they want to work on. And we'll curate classes where if I don't have the answer, I invite someone that's knowledgeable with it, and or we'll literally become data scientists and go into the internet and do research together to gain solutions and to know how to find solutions, because I don't want people coming to me to fix their problems anymore.
Right.
I want people to come to me saying, how can I fix my own problem? Can I pay you to show me?
Yeah.
Because I will do my philanthropy work, but that's something that I'm giving away. So I can't continue to give away what I don't have in terms of conversations or, anything. I'm looking to be intentional with everything, because for me, I would rather have this conversation on a live like this with you, where my kids can see it, your kids can see it, and a host of other people can gain from this, versus us keeping it all bottled up to ourselves on one phone conversation, because we drop gems every time we talk.
It's a lot of golden nuggets happening around here. And but
Every
you're so
time.
right though, is that I believe it's our fiduciary responsibility to leave the next generation better than we are. And
Yeah.
that's a question that I always ask people. What if your great, 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 great grandparents had left you a little bucket of money so that you could buy a car or a house or start a business? How much different would your life be? And they always say, yeah, it would be much different. Then it makes sense for us to set up that for our children.
Yeah. It's like, why not? We're not, like, I think one of the I don't want to say generational curses, but one thing that needs to be broken in disenfranchised communities is thinking that I had to figure it out, they're going to have to figure it out. Like, it should be that relay race where I'm passing the baton, I'm passing the
Ooh,
baton. And by
yeah.
the way, here's a bag of bricks that I gathered. Here's the bag of bricks and everything that I gathered on my way to you. You take what I have and you build upon it. That's how dynasties are created. Dynasties are not created from everybody getting it out the mud. It's just one big ass foundation of flat nothingness, is what it turns out to be when you don't have legacy to pass on. And so I want to build with my children. I'm so excited that my son went to school to do more than what I went for, so that he understands that, okay, mom's doing management and finance, well, I'm going to do hospitality and real estate, so that they could I'm like, hey, come on, take over everything, and whatever you can't do, hire somebody else to do it. Don't pass on the poor mentality of thinking you're supposed to do everything yourself. That's a poor mentality. And a lot of people think, I'm not going to hire anybody to save money. I could just do it myself. That's from a place of scarcity. You're supposed, like, honestly, and a lot of employers are not going to like this, but considering I don't have a job, I can say it. When you're an employee, they're putting you on leeway. You're doing the work and then they're paying you later. So if you can do the work and get paid later, why can't someone else do that for you? And you have integrity and actually pay them when you get the money. Like, it doesn't actually take a lot of money to do this. It just takes, honestly, integrity to be upfront and transparent with people and say, hey, this is where I am. This is what I have. If you like to collaborate and or partner with me, then this is what I can do. And then you keep your word. That's how easy it is to compile legacy or to start building out. It's just having honest moments of truth. Don't bring smoke in glasses and pretend they're full when they're really full of smoke. It's like, let's just blow all the smoke away, see how much water is in there. Like, okay, you got a little less than a half a bottle. I have a half a bottle. And if we get one other person that's got three-fourths, we can
Boom.
do some things. So what if we have to split it three ways? We can go further together. Then this half bottle can get us alone. And now all three of us is making it. And so I wanted to kind of put that out there for people to think about. My next question to you is, if you could give your younger self one truth, what would it be?
You said it, you know, integrity. Just stay with integrity of yourself. So many times we're influenced by other people and then we try to emulate them. We try to be like them because we think that they're wonderful and they are. But we have to be our own integrity within ourselves. And that is very difficult to do. And what I mean by this is when I was coming out of my marriage, I went for a cup of coffee with someone and he's like, hey, what kind of coffee do you like? We went to Starbucks and I looked up at the menu and I said, I don't know. And that might sound like a really simple thing, but so many times I allowed other people, I'm not blaming him. I allowed other people to make those decisions for me. And so we have to stay with integrity of ourselves and be ourselves. And that means that you are going to turn some people off, but that's okay because you're going to turn some people off. But when you have that courage to turn some people off, you're going to turn the right people on. And the right people will know your voice. But we can't know our voice if we never speak our voice. I always say the more that you speak your mind, the more that you're going to grow your mind. And that only happens by you speaking up. In my household, we were told, just be quiet, sit there. You know, children are to be seen and not heard. Just be quiet, be obedient. And so it was a long time for me to really get into integrity with myself and really start to discover who I am. And I'm not at the end of the book. Okay. I got a lot of work to do. I'm still in that work. So that would be the first thing that I would say to my younger self.
Like, stay true to self.
Yeah.
I like that. So the next session, the next two sectors, because I want to go through them to make sure I get at least four more questions in with you. What has this season of life taught you about letting go and leaning in?
Oh man. So you were talking about letting go and purging. And by the way, Miss Cassandra Terry has an incredible series on purging, like the 4 Ps, and I don't know them all, but yes, one of them is purging, right? Pruning. We have to prune off. I am just not a really good pruner. When people are my people, I really have a difficult time if that season is past. So, what was the question again?
And
Letting
what has this season of life taught you about letting go or leaning in?
go. Currently, I have somebody that I have to let go of. and she's going to leave this earth. And those are hard things. So leaning into it to me means, what are the moments and memories that we can capture now? What are the things that we can do now, and helping her to preserve her story for her children and for her grandchildren? And we have to understand that, in every adversity, there is a seed of a benefit. And yes, it's not fun to see people pass away, but she's going to go to somewhere much better than here. And that's my belief. And really helping her to lean into what that legacy really is. Letting go for me is very challenging, not just in somebody passing away, but when relationships change and shift. But I understand that it is something that has to be done. We have to purge. We have to be willing to prune. And it's not a bad thing. It's remembering the treasures and the gifts that they gave you for what they were. And you had said something that, well, then it was maybe never true at all. I'm going to gently push back on that, because it was true at that moment. They were the person that you needed, and you were the person that you were, they had something that you needed. Obviously, that's how we gravitate towards each other. But just because we fulfilled that mission, for me, I have to believe, it doesn't mean that it was not genuine. It doesn't mean that it wasn't real. It just means that we fulfilled that mission, and now it's time for us to go and take those treasures and go to the next episode.
Yeah.
That was a tough question. Whew.
You handled it like a champ. Um, I want to share this with you because I didn't know until 2 Sundays ago that I have been grieving my grandmother for 26 years. I never actually, I knew she died. It wasn't like I didn't accept her death. But for me, although I know my parents loved me to the best of their capability, my grandmother was the last person that I knew for sure genuinely loved me unconditionally. And she died 2 weeks before I had my first son, which is why my son's birthday is his birthday, because my heart broke at hearing she died, and I had to go into labor early. And so I thought my life changed when I had my son, but it actually changed the moment my grandma died,
Right.
because my love felt shut off after that, and everybody else was basically disappointed in me. And so I just led into success, to be, forget what everybody has to say. My grandma told me Jesus loved me, and I'm going to be the best mom for my kids, and I'm going to show up as the person they deserve, regardless to how I feel. And
Right.
that was what kind of got me through it. But it's recently that I realized I had not processed that grief. And so one of the things that I've done, since being here in Houston, I'll say, um, my students teach me so much, and I absolutely love learning things in cultures that I didn't grow up with, because there's something, like you said, to learn. And by the way, I absolutely love that pushback, and I agree with you, because I am who I am because of the people I have encountered, and I don't have any malice feelings towards anybody. I'm really focused on the future at this point. And so the people that I had to let go, I had to understand that I had to love myself enough to let people go that may not have the capacity to love me the way that I need in this chapter. Is
I
how
love
I kind of wrap that one up. But as far as the grief, my children, my students, because everybody's my baby at this point, um, they taught me about the Day of the Dead. And I, in conjunction with what they told me in the kids' movie Coco, I just came up with my own tradition of, like, I put my grandparents on my bar, and I got the little painted pretty skeleton heads, and I keep their pictures present. I share the stories, and I remember the things that they told me, the things that I learned, kind of like you said.
Yeah.
But I think with the person that you have to let go of soon, if she's okay with recording, so that because there's something about, if I died today, my kids being able to come into YouTube and see this video and see me saying it, it's like I'm still here talking to them. And so I kind of have this idea I'm going to play around with about the museum for the living within the community, because I'm really adamant at this point in my life about people telling their own story, as well as me being able to take interviews like this to share tidbits of mine until I could really say all the things I really want to say. It allows me to get, little pieces out, because I want, there's nothing like hearing it from the horse's mouth. Like,
That's
people could have their perceptions, and they could think, they'll look at you right now and be like, oh my God, Leah looks like a beauty pageant queen. Like, she hasn't been through anything. And then they realize, like, before she was Miss Universe,
right.
this is what the humble beginnings look like, and this is how we got here today. So
A
with that,
1,000%, a
yeah.
1,000%. And I want to share this really quick. Is that is something that I always do with my clients with their living trust. I always encourage them to allow me to record their story. And people resist it and they think that they don't have a story. But this is how I share it with them. And thank you for the comment, Ali, and prayers to your father. Absolutely. This is how I share it with them is that, listen, our children have heard our stories at nauseum. Oh, there goes mom again. She's going to tell that story. Oh, not Thanksgiving again. We don't want to hear that story. So when they tell it to their children, they're going to give their own interpretation. How different is it? You're recording this not just for your children, you're recording it for your children's children, for multiple generations. And it's how different is it they hear that story told and it's kind of a summary that your children might tell, but you can share all the little nuances, every little aspect of it, what you were feeling at that time, and everything that was going on in your life. So that is critical. I believe that that's something everyone should do. And part of my incentive for doing these things is because I am capturing this. My precious grandson, he's 6 years old, soon to be 7. I don't know how much longer God's going to let me be on here in this earth, but I want him to be able to look back and say, wow, my grandmother talked about me all the time. She always was there all the time. Look at all the pictures that I have with her and look at the stories that we would share together. We always have our story time and I share stories with him and he'll act them out and I record them audio so that he can go back and listen to them because I don't have a lot of that from my grandfather who was like your grandmother. That was my grandfather. He
Mhm.
passed away when I was 5. But I still to this day remember sitting on his knee. We would eat moon pies on the porch and he would whisper in my ear. And I always think, please let me remember what he said. It hasn't happened yet that I'm aware of, but those are those moments that we treasure and we want to capture in as many ways as we can. So I love that you said that.
Yeah, Jay's story time when he does his voices always reminds me of my first grandparent that I lost was my dad's dad, and his name is Cleophas. And so, oh, not now. His name is Cleophas, and whenever I hear, like, the first time I heard Jay do
Right.
that, I'm like sitting in the audio room crying, and I'm
Wow.
like, "Oh my God, you remind me of my grandpa Jay." And the thing is, my grandpa died so when I was so young that I could hardly remember his voice. But when
It
Jay did that voice, it
was
instantly,
there.
and I'm just like, and I only have one true memory, that because my grandfather lived upstate, like in Wisconsin, and I grew up in St. Louis. And so I remember sitting on his knee in the living room, listening to different war stories, asking him about his tattoos, and him having me climb on the bookshelf to get his box with cigars and Cormex.
Wow.
And so it's just like the what's the word I want to use? I don't know. there's just something special about the people that I connected with here on LinkedIn and that I've stayed in connection with. Like Ali, Ali's like my spiritual. He's my real spiritual brother in real life. If I don't show up for too long, like I don't know how he does it or if he has a notification. If I go live, I can expect to see Ollie there. And I don't know what I have to do something nice for him because I know he's going through a lot. But when I say supportive, he says something about you, about Cassandra Terry. He's mentioning like he shows up for people.
He
And
does.
Ali, if you have anything going on, I really would like for you to drop it in the chat so that not just myself, but whoever is available to come out and support you, and I try to forward your next event to people as well. Um, what does legacy mean to you now?
Yeah, we talked about it. It's wealth in all the areas in
Okay.
the faith, right? The traditions that you have, your finance, right? It's also going to be, in some way, it doesn't mean that you have piles and piles of money, but it
Mm-hmm.
means that you are pouring something financially into the next generation. If it just means that you have a silver dollar,
Mm-hmm.
it's the intention behind it. And then, of course, our family.
Yeah. You know what? That one, I'm learning now about more about my creative side, and I've started painting again. And when we talk about creating legacy, I like to add in exploring like the knowledge component of legacy is so imperative to really like just pass down legacy
Yeah.
pictures, journals, calendars,
Your
schedules,
intellectual property.
the
Yes.
intellectual property. I look at that more than anything when I think of legacy now because so many people from impoverished or disenfranchised communities have been cheated out of intellectual property. That teaching people how to protect themselves in all realms, I find that to be like high on the expectation list
Mhm.
these days. And so I have two more questions. My next one is now, after hearing the impact that you have on me, and I'm sure so many others, what does it mean to be a woman of influence to
Wow, that's humbling.
you?
It truly is. Because I know how impactful people have been for me who've poured into me. And I love pouring into other people. That's one of the reasons why I do Wealthy Wednesday, because I love to edify people. I love to showcase them. I love to learn from other people. And having this opportunity to be a receiving end of it, that means that I just got to get better. Like I got to get better. I got to get even better to knowing that people, do consider me somebody that has influence. Um, yeah, that's
You're
very
doing great. I remember when I would just get on here and it would just be me and the screen background and I'm fumbling around. And I specifically wanted to have an intentional background with the little labels and stuff. Like after coming on your show, I'm like, okay, I like the layout. Like I'm gonna do this my way. But I told you, I said, Leah, don't be surprised when you see me change the dynamic because I have to get used to the video thing. And the layout you did with Mr. Mike Drop, our Biz in a Box CEO,
Mhm.
um, I like the layout and just you showing up. It was enough. It was enough. And it's like, and you keep showing up. You keep, and the news you share with me is because it's paying off. Like, that's what that is. When you're like, wow, I didn't think it's going to go through. And I'm like, I had to do this recently. Have you ever went back and watched yourself? An old video,
Yes,
one of your old shows. I
yes.
didn't do that before, and so recently that's something that I do. I'm like trying to get used to seeing myself on camera more. Um, look, this the
Your
took
puppy.
up. I have
Yeah, what's going
my
on?
3 girls. um, what's one lesson you hope to pass on to the next generation of women?
To the next generation of women is speak your voice, even if it trembles. I'm going to go back to Cassandra Terry. She says, speak your voice, even if your voice trembles, even if you have shaky legs, even if you're scared, like speak your voice. I really want to empower women to speak their voice and step into their financial power. So many women it seems that, maybe because of, me being 60, so many women will come and reach out to me, and their significant other, their spouse has passed away, and they've never dealt with any of their finances. They don't know where anything is financially. It's in finding out things that they have more debt than they thought they had. And then they're trying to figure all of this out. And we have to step more into the money situation. We got to have the money conversations. It doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't have to be difficult. I promise I will hold you and walk you through it, or find somebody that you feel comfortable with. Because and you shared this many times, is that if we are taking the money with us and we're spending it away, or we're just having to go to probate, then what was it all for? Like, what was that all for? Why did you work so hard all those 30, 40, 50 years? Why did you get up early every day and work late and work weekends and miss birthdays if all you did is gone with you? And I'm going to say it again, that every person should leave our generation better than they were, which is transferring that wealth, that knowledge, and understanding that it's really our responsibility. It really is. And that's difficult for some of us. But like I said, it doesn't mean that you are leaving millions of dollars. Maybe you have traditions that you can capture, and you can really help your family to hold on to those, because that's the things that bind us. That's the things that connect us. I think we're losing that wisdom from our elders.
I agree. I definitely agree, and I think that if there's anything that I could go back in time and get, if I could go back and do something over, it would have been to ask my grandparents more questions.
Yeah,
Like if there was anything to do, or if there was something, because there's no trace of so many things, and so people are forced to continuously start over paths that have already been paved. And so it's like if we can document and share and put out into the world the things that the world gave to us, I do believe with you that's our fiduciary responsibility to not just make ourselves better, because that's how my definition of success has changed. To make yourself successful is what you're supposed to do, but to be able to raise the people around you is where true success comes from. Because I didn't feel the like when I went to Dubai the first time, it was amazing and I felt great. I'm like, I made it to this place that I didn't dream of, that I didn't know existed. But like I said, I'm all alone. And if there's nobody to be rose with you, you're gonna be like it dies with you. And
that's
so
right.
what did you do it all for?
Yeah. And I want to go back and ask my grandmother for her tamale recipe, the tortilla recipe, the frijole recipe. Like, I want all those recipes that I just thought were so wonderful, and nobody ever written them down. And so, like you said, that knowledge, that talent leaves with them.
So that just gave me a really good idea. I'm going to come back and put my link because I'm thinking next Friday, if you want to check your schedule, and I check with the other ladies, that we'll do a virtual wind down. And I don't
Oh,
we may or may not record it. We may not record the first one, and I think I'll have it on Go Brunch with this background. We'll use this background. I'll play some music, but I'm gonna ask everybody to bring a recipe to share. Like let's share your
ooh,
favorite recipe. So, and in particular, maybe something that goes with the wine, so that people can like create their own wine days at home. And when we as we do these in the future, then we'll start, what pairing did you bring tonight, or whose recipe did you try? And so I think that's a really good way to
I
bond
love that.
community, like in an organic way. And we'll do cameras off for the people that come the first time, because I want people to get a feel for what it is and how it works and be truly authentic. And then we'll take a vote moving forward on if everybody says, hey, let's do cameras on, I say, well, let's tether all the lives together and everybody get their numbers up, and we'll do a live listen to
Yeah.
music and have conversations. But the first one, I want it to be a little bit sacred so that we can establish what's expected in this space, and people understand that it's truly a safe space for people to learn, grow, and connect. That's the goal for me.
I'm in. Count me in. You said wine. You had me at wine down. What? Yes, yes. I'm there.
So I'm super excited about this. I'm gonna clip our live now because I think we're right at the hour mark. We kind of started a little late, but this was really great. Is there anything that you want to leave with the people today?
Oh my gosh. I would say connections are the key. Connections and collaborations really are the new currency. You never know who you can meet. I mean, Coach K and I have never met in person, but I feel like we're so connected. I'm so honored and blessed to have her, as I call her, my queen. She's younger than me, so I'm not really sure how that works. But listen, we all need each other. And there's an African proverb that people talk about, which is if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I say, if you want to have fun along the way, bring people with you. It is no fun to have success and be on the top of the mountain shouting rah rah to yourself. Like you want the people there who are at the top of the mountain and they're rah rahing with you.
Thank you. The other thing that I want to that we have not mentioned before we go is your Money Maverick book. I want you to drop the link to that in the comments. I like for if you're interested in working with Leah, she is on LinkedIn. If you find me and type her name in, or go on LinkedIn and type in Leah Garcia, the financial strategist, she'll come up. Also, she has a free ebook to get you started on understanding finance and building wealth. Leah, I'd like to thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming here and having this conversation with me today. And as a gift, I am going to make you a custom bio since you didn't have
Oh,
one because I want
oh,
to give out golden
oh,
roses. And so
yes,
I'll
please.
mark it up and send it over to you as a thank you.
Wow, I love that. That's a beautiful gift. Oh my goodness. Thank you, my queen. This was so fun. Thank you for including me in this and thank you for pouring into me. And I'm excited for us to pour in our wine down and having some pairings because I'm not a great cooker, but I'm telling you, I'm a fantastic eater. I love food. I love pairings. So I don't know that I can bring a recipe, but I will do my best to find something and I'll bring
Something
my best.
just Google something you like and drop it in
There
the
you
chat.
go. There you go.
Thank you.
Bye, Ollie.